Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man.
For I am the man himself. Stretching. So, YouTubers, wrestling fans, what do you want to talk about? Because let me talk to you. What is going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993. And I gotta continue to get back on this track again. But I gotta remind you guys, as always, in order to be superior to the man, you've gotta be the man. And for I am the man himself. And yes, we are indeed, we're not recording, we are live right here on YouTube for my live review of this past Monday night's episode of Monday Night Raw. February 26, 2024, and it took place in San Jose, California, hometown of our 2024 Women's Royal Rumble winner, Bayley, and also my good friend right here on YouTube, Robbie One Kenobi, was in attendance at that episode of Raw. And let me tell you, Robbie, and all you other wrestling fans, I'm in a very good mood today as I record this. We'll do this stream live. As I mentioned before in my Elimination Chamber review, on the road to WrestleMania especially, I'm going to try my best to go live. Because it's a very exciting time of the year. And trust me, if we get more episodes of Raw, like this week's episode of Raw, which I thought was hot, and I thought it was cooking pretty good, and I thought it felt like an episode like you felt like, you know, they put it into a whole nother gear and we're heading towards WrestleMania. There's no other roadblocks or other stops along the way. We're on the road. It's go time right now. And it felt like it in this episode of Raw. I loved a lot of things about this episode of Raw. And I'm very excited to talk about it. And of course, I felt like it had to be a time to go live for this episode. Hopefully get some people in the live chat. Nobody yet, but we hope we get some people there. Because I do want to take the time, first off, to thank you all. Thank you all because the channel the past week or two has been hot. It's gained a lot of momentum. We slowed down a little bit, I would say, towards the end of the year and into the beginning of this year. But the channel has really been hot the past couple of weeks. I know I was stuck around 1,970 subscribers for a little bit. We are now, as of today, at 1,987. That puts us at 13 away from 2,000. And with the path we're on right now, I am still going to believe there is a chance that we can make that happen by WrestleMania 40. Me getting to 2,000 subscribers happening by WrestleMania 40, I think would be awesome to have happen. And also, for sure, one thing that's been a big contributor to that is the WrestleMania 40 match card especially. That match card hasn't quite been 4 days yet since that was uploaded. I'm sure later on tonight will be considered 4 days. But we already have, on this video, because I'm pulling it up right now to check, 1,096 views on that video. I remember back in the day when I first started making these printed match cards, and especially lately again with me having Photoshop and After Effects, I've been trying new things. I'm still, trying to dip my toe and, reteach myself things I learned back in college. So I haven't used those softwares in, I'd say at this point, a good 8 years maybe it's been since. So definitely, glad to myself dipping my toes back into there, but definitely get more creative. And those match cards used to get me a lot of views. I would say like 2017, they started to slow down a little bit. And of course, I stopped doing them after I was getting like burned out from wrestling in 2021. And I thought that I'd try again last year, and I started doing them again last year, WrestleMania 39. I've only had one that's gotten over 1,000, and I think one that didn't hit 100. But to see that many views already is outstanding, and I cannot thank you guys enough for giving that match card some love. I'm hoping we can maybe at least get to 5,000. Maybe even 10,000. I'll set the goal for that match card to maybe get 10,000 views. With the rapid pace it's on right now, I think there's a chance. I haven't had a match card hit 10,000 views in a long, long time. But again, I'm hoping to keep the momentum going. And also, a short I posted the other day about Mandy Rhodes, which I'm going to briefly elaborate, I think also kind of got me some steam going as well, too. So again, guys, I can't thank you all enough. So I'm hoping for the continued momentum going to WrestleMania season. And we will, of course, continue on with that by doing this live review. Nobody in the live chat currently. It's a little disappointing, but maybe we'll have some people join. There is one like on it, so whoever liked this video, thank you very much. But let's get into it. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Again, the Fallout show from Elimination Chamber 2024. Actually, first, before we get to that, let me briefly, I wanted to, before we get to the Raw review, I did really want to, elaborate a little bit more on that Mandy Rose short I made, because I would have liked to talk for a few more minutes about that, or another minute or so on that, but the problem I have with doing shorts is that they're fine for TikTok, but YouTube still doesn't let me do more than 1 minute on shorts, which kind of hurts a little bit, especially when I do my what's it called? My little agendas I do now at the beginning of the week. I have to cut some pieces out, and I gotta talk a little fast to get all in what I want to do and my plans and whatnot. But anyway, so I briefly addressed the news story that came out a week or so ago about Mandy Rose. On her podcast she does with her fiance, Tino Savatelli. I guess Mandy was asked the question, what's one of the craziest requests or something like that you've gotten from a fan doing fan time or OnlyFans or whichever page. I know she does fan time. I can't remember what other, exclusive content stuff you have to pay for to see, per pictures and certain things and whatnot. But basically, Mandy was asked what was the request that she was, the craziest request she's ever had. It wasn't really a request, but Mandy shared that there's one guy that has spent $55,000 on her fandom account. $55,000. Of course, Tino just sitting there and says, well, thank you. I heard this and I'm like, because, first off, take this part out of the picture. As much as I am happy to see that Mandy Rose is succeeding, doing modeling and these photo shoots and a lot of other people like to post the exclusive content for the appeal to adults and whatnot. Yes, you get some stuff on Instagram and whatnot and other things, of course. But of course, there's fan time, OnlyFans and whatnot. That is more deep and whatnot. And again, I'm happy that Mandy Rose is succeeding with that. Like Tony Storm, I was doing it. Several other people I know have gone to it. If you're succeeding, awesome. Personally, for me, that's not my thing. And the reason why is because, one, I just don't feel right wanting to pay money to see, like, that deep of content. Especially also since, one, I am married. So I don't want to be, checking out. I mean, yes, I'm not going to deny I do like celebrities, photos on Instagram and whatnot. When my wife is okay, of course, me having celebrity crushes. But not as far as, like, paying to, see deeper photos and this and that. Like, that's, or, like, watching, like, adult content, even though, I'm trying to, watch what I say. But again, that's not my thing. It is for other people, which, if it is, good for you. For me, it's not my thing. So, like, even though, of course, Mandy Rose is someone who's meant for that industry. She is, she's always been, like, the sex appeal character and whatnot and everything. I'm happy for her. But if I was her, I'd be a little concerned with one fan, especially a male, paying an engaged woman $55,000 for her content. Me personally, again, that I feel a little bit uncomfortable with that. I just think it's a little bit, especially again, because if it was me, like, we all know I'm fans of, like, Daniel Bryan or Deonna Purrazzo or Johnny Gargano, Shield members and whatnot, all that. The only person that I've actually, besides an autograph session, that I've actually, like, paid to, like, speak to a wrestler was Deonna Purrazzo. But I didn't do too much. I only did, like, $40 worth. It's when it was a year or two ago when she had that Direct Me app. I'm not sure if she still has it or not. But you could basically, like, pay $5 to send a text to her. And I wanted to, because I've always wanted to thank Deonna for those photos that my friend Joe bought for me back in 2019 for my birthday, and she autographed it for my birthday, because I was going through a little bit of a tough time at the time, and I know she was just acknowledging a fan's request, but I never got the chance to thank her for it. And I got to maybe send a couple texts to her after that. I probably did about like $40 worth, basically, because my thing is yes, it's cool to talk with these professional wrestlers, but also respect the fact that they actually do have lives, and there's kind of like that fan and actual life boundary, in my opinion. As much as I would love to support someone, I just think if you're a man throwing $55,000 to a woman who's engaged to see bikini photos and possibly farther than that, I would have a little bit of a red flag if that was me. Like, I would be worried that person might be, like, creepy and whatnot. Especially, again, if it's a man. But, I just wanted to elaborate on that a little bit more. Like I said, although, we all have our fan crushes and whatnot, I personally just think, as a fan, there should still be boundaries. That's why, like, I wouldn't, like, it was about a year ago, I went to Ichiban. And for those of you who aren't baseball fans, there was a former Pittsburgh Pirate named Neil Walker, who was a hometown player who played for the Pirates. I sat at the same table as Neil Walker. I knew it was him because I looked up him and his wife on Google, and he had 2 daughters there as well with him. And after we walked out, I told my friend, he tried making me go back and talk to him. I said, I don't want to do that. Because as much as I would have loved to meet him, I know that it's not the right time. That they don't want to be bothered. They don't want to have that attention drawn to them. They're still human beings. But, I think I tweeted something towards him. He never responded to it. I didn't expect him to. But Anyway, but I just wanted to get that out there, my brief thoughts on that. Again, congrats to Mandy for sure, but be a little concerned, if someone who's spending that much money on you, especially, again, when you're engaged and it's a man who's spending that money on you, probably desiring certain things. I feel a little uncomfortable about that. But just want to get that out there. Let's talk about Raw, though. It looks like we've got Tyler joining us. Thank you, Tyler. He said, hi, Mike. He said, also, hashtag thank you, Sting. Most definitely. Again, I am going to watch Revolution at some point. Probably not Sunday night, but I am going to split it with my one friend. And I am going to watch it. And I will do a recorded review of Revolution. Again, only because the main thing around that show is Sting's last match. He also says, Rhea needs to drop the title. I disagree. He also says the only match he's excited for so far is AJ Styles and LA Knight. That's fine. That should be a good match, of course. But again, we'll see, of course, if that does become a multi-man match in the ladder match, which I said in my Chamber review that I don't think that should, because if the whole story is that AJ Styles hates LA Knight because LA Knight keeps getting in his way, then why would they fight in yet another multi-man match? So that's probably going to be another one-on-one match. But with that being said, though, let's get rolling, though, and talk about Raw. Because I do want to try to watch my other Thursday night TV shows tonight. And also, I still have to record one more level of the Return to Danger Let's Play, and then I'll have up to floor 16 done. And I'll upload those vlogs. Floor 16 is a boss battle. But let's talk about this Fallout show. So, we opened up with Rhea Ripley coming out with Dominik Mysterio. She talks about how she successfully defended her title in the main event in her hometown and says being from down under doesn't keep her being on top. And then out comes Becky Lynch. She talks about how they both had quite a night, and now she's going to beat Rhea at Mania. Dom, of course, who can't talk because he's, of course, a booze, tell her, you can't talk to mommy like that, and she tells him to shut his mouth, and Becky calls Dom a dirty kumquat, which I think is some sort of fruit or something like that. I think in Irish or something like that. And if Rhea won't put him in his place, she will. Which, honestly, that wouldn't be too bad of an intergender fight. Becky Lynch and Dominik Mysterio. I actually would pay to see that, if I'm being honest. Mommy steps in, though, and says, don't disrespect my dom-dom. And she congratulates her on winning the chamber. And it's about time she actually won something instead of just talking trash. She claims she's the backbone of this division. Well, men always think they're the backbone of everything. But behind every great man is a greater woman. And she's not behind Becky because mommy is always on top. Which then, Nia Jax crashes the party and she attacks Becky. Because obviously, even though Nia lost the match at Chamber, she has a gripe because she still did beat Becky. And that person she beat is going to WrestleMania instead of her. So she lays out Becky and Nia just watches on. But then, of course, I think when Nia goes for her Annihilator finisher, Adam Pearce runs out and I guess threatens to define her if she doesn't stop this. Of course, that's the last time we would see Miss Bible on the show. And she was backstage, and Jackie Rabbit tried to interview her, and Nia says Becky won Chamber, but she's the one who should be going to WrestleMania. And she's just going to visit 10 times what she intends to give Becky to live tonight. Because she's facing Liv Morgan later on the show. We had Sami Zayn as Drew McIntyre. Some of my impressions will be coming out in this review more often than I'm going to say. But yeah, we have Sami Zayn taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. And I thought the match was really good. It will probably never be as good as their match at TakeOver Dallas. So this was a very good match. A stiff, hard-hitting match. Again, as much as I still bothers me that Nakamura is basically in limbo, and I kind of still wish they would have given him the title when he feuded with Seth this past fall, even if it was just very brief. I still, again, do appreciate that at least this heel run, he has a character. He is unique. He feels like he's someone that can float above water. But, you know, it's still a thing. Because he's had 1 or 2 wins recently over Sami. But Sami does make the comeback with a Blue Thunder Bomb. And he did escape a Kinshasa. But he slipped away and just at the last second hit one haluva kick and then hits a second one. And Sami pins Shinsuke. And we do get an interview with him in a few seconds that we will talk about. But we also are being told that for 2K24, CM Punk will be a DLC in 2K24, which I'm sure a lot of fans love that. I would buy 2K24, but again, I just have a Switch and a PS2 that I have not played in a long-ass time. Which I'd like to again, but I just haven't had the time. I even haven't played my Switch for a few months also, but I'd love to get back into that course as well. Especially if I can figure out how to video record. I would love to do a Let's Play of Doom or so if I can. Anyways, we then have Chelsea Green in the ring. And she's issuing a formal complaint that she'll be competing under protest. Last week, she would have won the Battle Royale had it not been for them adding Raquel Rodriguez as a last-second entrant. And she claims that's a fraudulent decision and that Chelsea's the real star, and Raquel flew all the way to Perth just to lose, much like your San Jose Sharks, which got her a lot of heat. And she says she's going to kick Raquel's ass. Raquel comes out, though, and kicks hers instead. But that was still a good promo, I think, by Chelsea. I'm still hoping they give her Chelsea on the microphone. Again, I listened to a recent interview she had with Chris Van Vliet, and is that a train or something? Oh, I'm probably hearing it's on the TV. I'm not out there. I'm not sure. But anyways, yeah, Chelsea Green is mentioning how basically she's trying to be a diva. She's trying to more so be a character than a wrestler, which she's a decent wrestler, but she's really trying to emphasize her character. She wanted to come back and call herself like the last diva, which I think she's kind of getting, but she's also not completely, there as well. But it's kind of like them being in the middle. But I do hope she starts getting a little more of a singles push though after WrestleMania. Then we have an interview backstage with Sami Zayn being interviewed, and he says a loss tonight would have been destructive. And he talks about the momentum gained. And when Imperium walked by, Gunther stops him and sizes him up and laughs at him, which is wondering if it was the first of many teases to a possible opponent for Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. I know there's been heavy rumors about possibly doing Sami and Gunther at Mania. I still think Sami somehow should get into that world title match with Seth and Drew and make it a triple threat. I still think he would win, but I think that's the direction he needs to go, in my opinion. But he could end up in his Intercontinental title match, which could be a multi-man match. But we'll talk about that, of course, later on, as we have a few more teases as well. Cody Rhodes is being interviewed backstage. He says challenging The Rock was no strategy. It was because he got slapped across the face and he's been watching Grayson Waller and talks about his first and last appearances on the Grayson Waller effect. He points out that now he's going to get his first main event of Monday Night Raw tonight. Which, can I be real? I know that I kind of mentioned that, there's been a few bending of the brand split lately that I am okay with. This I was kind of like, you could have done the match, but why didn't you just do it on SmackDown? Because Cody, with him challenging for Roman's title, has a reason to go to SmackDown. Grayson doesn't really have a reason to go to Raw. So that didn't really make sense to me, in my opinion. But that's a little nitpick. Then we have Imperium come out. This was an interesting segment here. Gunther comes out to talk about how he retained the IC title from Jey Uso last week on Raw. We'll talk about him, of course, in a few minutes as well. And therefore, he still declared himself the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. But he admits that Jey almost had him, and he felt it slipping away from him, but nobody's perfect. But he is very, very close to it. And before the rest of his crew takes on Imperium, he needs to address his future. Over 600 days, he's worked to make this title the most prestigious in the company. And he's beaten everyone who is left for him to fight at WrestleMania. He sees what we say about Sami Zayn, Chad Gable. I don't know, I love the way he goes, Chad Gable. Chad Gable. And he also mentions The Miz, who he's already beaten twice, and even R-Truth. So there's a few names he's throwing out there. But then, out come the Judgment Day, and I'm like, huh? Judgment Day and Imperium? Even though I still don't like the concept of Judgment Day and their booking, the talent in there, though, any of them I'd take facing Gunther. Finn Balor and Gunther, I think Finn Balor and Gunther were supposed to have a match for the UK title had the pandemic not happened, when they were going to be doing, I think, TakeOver Ireland, I think it was. Gunther and Damian Priest would also be fantastic. Gunther and Dom be interesting. Even Gunther and JD would probably be good. I think they did have one or two matches in the UK when Gunther first came over. Well, when he was Walter. But, anyways, Judgment Day come out. Damian Priest squares up and tells them they don't sweat him. Even though his run is second only to the one Judgment Day are on, they ran the table at Chamber, and they plan to do the same at WrestleMania and add more gold to the Judgment Day, which includes the IC title. Gunther says, so you're not going to cash in on me. So who will it be? Will it be you, Finn? Will it be Big Head over there? Referring to JD McDonough. But then Dominik Mysterio steps in. And of course, he tries to talk, but of course can barely hear him because, the usual jazz. But he says, Judgment Day say something, they do it. And that means that title belongs to them. And then Gunther shoves him, Damian tries to step up, but the rest of them, they hold him back. So like a feud with Judgment Day and Imperium? Or again, who is this teasing? It seemed to be more so Dominik being the one who could be getting the shot at Gunther. Because after the commercial, before we got the match with Imperium and New Day, Rhea Ripley walked up to them backstage, and she's concerned that Dom picked a fight with Gunther. And Dom's like, don't worry, I got this. And then he turns around, and he runs into Andrade El Idolo. Well, Andrade. I think he's still Andrade El Idolo in WWE based off the promo he just had the other week, but I think he's still listed as Andrade on the website. I still wish it was called Cien Almas again. I love the name. It's Andrade Cien Almas. Why can't they call him that again? They're all smiles and talking and just catching up and whatnot. So I'm not sure what that's going to lead to, but we'll see. And then we had a match I've been waiting for a couple months now. The New Day versus Imperium. So Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods versus Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci had a street fight. I think I was saying tornado tag, but street fight was still just as great. There's barely no difference. And again, just a simple story of Giovanni Vinci's concussion from 2 months ago to then everyone, basically Ludwig Kaiser wanting a piece of Kofi Kingston, because Kofi was the one who gave him that concussion, by accident, of course. But WWE has done an excellent job at taking like a real life moment and actually turning it into something good. Because these four have been to war ever since. And to me, it's brought out a serious side of the New Day. And it even has gotten the momentum going for Kaiser and Vinci, which I really think they have plans, especially for Kaiser. They've really been seeming to give him a little bit of a spot. I think within the next year, he probably will get a singles run. And he's improved a lot. Giovanni, I know he can be good too. He still feels like the third wheel in the group, but I really think this feud, and especially this match, really heated them back up again. Because when they came to Raw last year, this of course was when Vince McMahon was making changes over the phone to the scripts. I felt that he really diminished Imperium. Raw should have been Imperium's show, not Judgment Day's. But they had an excellent match, throwing back a lot of moments. Kofi threw an office through the chair again at Ludwig, just like Ludwig did to him a few months ago. They were whacking each other with kendo sticks. There was also a moment in the match where I think they took a steel chair, and whacked Kofi Kingston in the knee with it. It was brutal. We had a limit breaker through the table. So many great spots. This was an all-out war. And exactly what this needed to be. Like a blood feud that needed to have like a car-crashing type match like this. And it was awesome. Again, I didn't think you would get me... If it was like a few months ago, before all this even started, I don't think you would have gotten me this invested in a feud between New Day and Imperium. Because again, both teams had like momentum kind of crashing. Like New Day is... Again, as much as they're Hall of Famers, like as long as they're around, can we kind of get something a little bit different? Because they're just treading water, it feels like. Imperium, though, needed the boost. I still think they have to have a run with the tag titles on the main roster before they go their own ways. Because Ludwig is going to be getting himself a run as a single star sometime soon. And Imperium do, in fact, get the win. Which, again, I think they needed it more than New Day. So I'm really hoping that leads to bigger things for Imperium down the line. Maybe they could get involved in the tag title picture as well. I don't know. I still think Awesome Truth's going to be the ones to take the titles off of Judgment Day at Mania. Just saying. But, moving on. Chad Gable goes into Adam Pearce's office. They exchange their pleasantries, and then Gable brings up how he wants a shot at the Intercontinental title for WrestleMania. Everyone's going to be after the spot, but he says what haunts him, though, is that Gunther reduced his daughter to tears and laughed at his misery. And he needs to make that right. Which that's been the story since they feuded back in like the early September and October, I believe it was. And I still, because I put it in my WrestleMania card prediction, which I said at the beginning of the stream, keep giving it the love. It has almost 1,100 views after just 4 days. Again, I would love it if that one gets to 10,000 views. But I still think Chad Gable, or as Gunther says, Chad Gable should get that title shot. They could be teasing to a multi-man match, though. Maybe, because I still hear that they might be going with just... Because I thought they'd go with the multi-man match for the U.S. title, which is why I predicted the Fatal 4-Way on my card predictions, with Logan, Randy, KO, and Braun. But, good chance it could be for the Intercontinental title as well, and maybe a ladder match, which would be good. My thing, though, is if someone is going to bring an end to Gunther's title reign, I feel like it should be one-on-one, though. That's my only thing. But that would still be a good match. Or it could be leading to maybe like a multi-man like gauntlet match, or like a multi-man like elimination match, or like some type of like number one contenders match could be leading to. I still have my heart set on Chad Gable, though. Like, don't get me wrong, Sami Zayn will be a great opponent. I'm going to see what they do with Dominik Mysterio as well in there, too, as well. R-Truth, not going to complain about that either. Few others, but I really want it to be Chad. I really, really, really want it to be Chad Gable. He deserves a singles opportunity, and he's got the right story right there. So I'm still, praying for Chad to get that shot. We had Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark then beat Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell. I'm assuming they're either... Oh, this is confusing because it looks like they're making Shayna and Zoey heels again. Which, okay, fine. It's really no different than they were now. But they're teasing them now as the ones that face the Kabuki Warriors and Man. Which, fine, but if you're making them heels, why are you fighting heels also? Not sure how I feel about that heel on heel match, but we'll see where that goes. Giving Zoey a title, even if those points wins tag titles at Mania, I'm not opposed to it because, again, months ago I was predicting her to win the Women's Rumble, and she has done really well since coming to the main roster in the draft last May. Then we get a backstage segment with The Miz and DIY and R-Truth, who's reminiscing about the good old days with Judgment Day. And Johnny says, we'll cheer you up. And Miz says, we have a plan. And Truth's like, yes, I'm excited for the return of D-Generation X. And of course, everybody's just like, that's not the thing. Of course, there was a exclusive where R-Truth did go to NXT to see Shawn Michaels. He went to his office and called him Johnny Gargano. I think that's just freaking hilarious. I also think it's a nice rub, too, though, to compare, because both Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, basically their characters are pretty much like a Triple H and a Shawn Michaels. Best friends. Ciampa's, has more of a Triple H's style. Johnny's more of a Shawn Michaels style, for sure. Definitely, I would say so. So I thought that was funny. Oh, and then we got this promo. Striking gold again is Drew McIntyre. He comes out, he's all smiling because he's back right where he deserves to be at his spot for WrestleMania. And he starts out saying, well, guys, we did it. He thanks everyone for putting hands together and praying harder than ever to make Drew versus Seth happen for the world title WrestleMania. But he has to be honest with us. He feels like hell. He's more jet-lagged than Man right now. And he also has a blown-out eardrum, which apparently is legit. Which happened in an incident. It blew out in the match and had an incident after the show. And he gets all dramatic, saying the doctors say I may not make it to WrestleMania. But he replies and says, well, who do you think I am, CM Punk? And he sits down Indian style like Punk. Oh, the shots he's fired at Punk is unreal. So much so, my wife, who is not a fan of CM Punk, changed my name in her phone to Ashley is not CM Punk. Oh, man, again. Drew I just think he can't top himself off. Tops himself off even more with how savage he can be. But anyways, he sits in the ring, and he says he knows it hurt Punk not being part of Chamber or Mania. And it probably kills him to see that he is in his world title match. And he thought of Punk after his victory. And he knows he's straight edge and don't drink. But on the way home, he drank twice as much alcohol just to celebrate. But in all seriousness, though, he wants to address Seth Rollins. So Seth comes out doing his goofy entrance and congratulates Drew. Tells him he's proud of him for clawing back into the title picture. And McIntyre, though, tells Rollins, stay out of SmackDown's business because Raw and the world title need him more. And claims that if he keeps it up, the bloodline will just ruin their match. Referring to the fact that, Seth, who is just about to be clear to compete, could get hurt even worse. Or the fact that, even though the Bloodline helped him beat Cody Rhodes last week, they could still get involved in their match because Seth Rollins is helping Cody with the Bloodline. Rollins appears conflicted for a beat before he says he's thought about all this as well and played every negative outcome over his head. And Drew may be right. The Bloodline might make WrestleMania an easy night for McIntyre. But what if he's wrong? Some risks are worth taking, and he's been selfish and thought the goal would fill the void, but he felt empty every time. And it wasn't until he had his daughter that he realized not everything is about him. Some things are bigger than all of us, like the world title and taking down the Bloodline. Doesn't matter who of them is champion. The Bloodline want power, and it's only a matter of time before they come looking for it. And what if his knee is 100%? His back is ready. What if he can rip the Bloodline apart once and for all and secure a future for this industry? If they can do all that, it'd be just the two of them and the world title WrestleMania. He told him this before. He'll tell him again. May the best man win. But also, some risks are worth taking. Just very simple stuff like this that's so effective. Seth Rollins wants to help Cody Rhodes because he knows that Roman thinks he's bigger than him as far as, in his star power. And, which title is more efficient. I feel like Seth Rollins getting involved in this story is him trying to prove that, hey, you're not the big man around here. I am. People who beat me for my title, it means more. And again, coming full circle, where he kind of feels responsible. Being part of the Shield with Roman Reigns and whatnot, and, the message sent there and whatnot. Again, it's kind of like him getting his comeuppance as well. And the thing that's interesting, again, is we know anytime Roman's faced Seth in a pay-per-view or a big-time match like this, Seth's won. And again, the only time without Paul Heyman that Roman Reigns did not win a match, but won it by DQ, was when he faced Seth at Rumble. Lots of things coming back, making sense. Simple storytelling. And Drew has every right to tell Seth, it may not be a good idea for you to get involved in this. Because he wants to have the match the right way at Mania. Yes, he's a justified heel, but still. Just things for him to, still get in Rollins' head and make good points about. And oh my gosh, such good storytelling. I look forward to seeing what happens at Mania. I do think Drew's going to win. But speaking of other angles with certain matches, Nia Jax took on Liv Morgan. And it wasn't that bad of a match, to be honest, for a Nia Jax match. It was working, but then Becky Lynch came out and got her comeuppance for Nia getting involved earlier. We later then have a segment where Becky's backstage demanding a match against Nia Jax. Adam Pearce makes it official for next week. But then we got Liv Morgan rolling in and tells Becky, it's not always about you. And walks away. Because Becky interrupted her match with Nia. Interesting. Although, again, if I'm being real, I don't want to see that women's title match become a triple threat. It just has to be Rhea and Becky. I still think if you keep this story going, this path that Liv's on right now, give her time, SummerSlam, you can have Liv dethrone Rhea. That's who I think should be the one to dethrone Rhea, if I'm being honest, is Liv. So in some ways, she's probably still going to get involved in the storyline, but I don't think she's going to actually be in the match at Mania. But we'll see. Jey Uso is being interviewed backstage. He's going to keep being him, and he sees that he keeps falling short of his goals, and of course because of his brother. Drew rolls up and says He's in a good place to have this chat, and he wants Jay to know from the bottom of his heart he deserves this. And then, of course, Jay throws punches, and that sets up for a match next week. Probably, maybe the main event, Jay and Drew. We'll see what happens with the story with him and Jimmy, of course, as that's obviously going to be a match for Mania. And then the main event, Cody Rhodes and Grayson Waller. The match, I didn't give two shits about, to be honest. Like I said, I don't know why Grayson Waller was able to be on Raw. He really doesn't have any reason to be on Raw, so he's a SmackDown star. So I would have rather have seen this match on SmackDown. He had like a segment earlier, doing whatever. There's been rumblings of a possible Austin Theory versus Grayson Waller match for Mania, because Grayson didn't help Austin at Chamber whenever Seth and Cody beat him down. I don't know how I feel about that either, to be honest. But what mattered more was after the match. So during one of the backstage interviews, and then it was, of course, emphasized a lot during this main event, Paul Heyman was backstage, and it was emphasized in the main event that Paul Heyman was in the building. So after the match ends, out comes Mr. Heyman, as Cody Rhodes says. Does his usual entrance, and Cody goes and gets a steel chair to even his odds as Heyman does his usual introduction. Cody cuts him off and says he don't give a damn what his name is, and this is a bloodline setup, he's going down swinging. Paul tells him he's the only member of the bloodline here tonight. And he has some security with him. And none of them are Samoan. They're all off duty. Well, they're actually suspended New York Police Department officers. And says he just shelved out to say nobody's asking for an apology from Cody. And he knows how embarrassing it is to get Will Smithed. But he needs to not mention The Rock's name. Roman Reigns authorized him to let Cody know, and he begs him, please drop that challenge he gave to The Rock at Chamber. Or else. And Cody's like, or else what? He hasn't trashed Dwayne. CM Punk says, yes, the main event of WrestleMania is not going to be John Cena, your buddy Dwayne. But anyways, he says, Cody says he hasn't trashed Dwayne because he was a fan first. And how could you not be? He says he's done being nice, though, and this is a setup. Let's go. Heyman has a better idea. And he has the security swarm the ring. And he asks if he may enter the ring. Cody says, no. Paul's like, well, that was rude. And then the security enter the ring. Cody says if one more person takes a step towards him, he's going to drop all of them. And then Paul says he respects that as long as Cody respects that, it doesn't apply to him. And he takes a step. And Cody goes, wrong! And he just beats the hell out of the security with the steel chair and hits Crossroads. And of course, Paul goes running away. And for some reason, he has two phones. One to call Roman Reigns. And the other one is to call The Rock. Which, why can't he just do just a group call on one phone? I thought that was weird. But Cody tells him, go ahead and call. Because the bloodline isn't going to be hunting him. He's hunting the bloodline. And then, of course, he does another round beating down the security. And then Heyman retreats, obviously realizing that Cody is, much more fired up this time. As this has gotten even more personal. I hope to God, again, that's a tease, that one, he's mentioned it here and there. We will eventually find out what Cody and Rock talked about. That originally led to Cody stepping away to let Rock fight Roman. Which now isn't happening. But as I keep saying, this better set up for Cody Rhodes to admit that Mr. Heyman is the reason why Cody did not win at last year's Mania. It's gotta happen. Again, that's the only reason Cody had conquered everyone in the bloodline that year. Jimmy, Jay, Solo, they were all ejected, all out of the picture. And the only reason why Cody didn't win was because Paul Heyman himself distracted the referee. So I thought that was a nice ending for sure. And again, I love this episode of Raw. Again, a couple little nitpicks in there, but I think it was one of the stronger episodes I've seen in a while. And again, I think it really got me hyped to WrestleMania. I gave it an A-. Raw gets an A- this week. I'm hoping for the same thing from SmackDown tomorrow night. But let's check the live chat. We have, I think Tyler, when he said the 2K24 is 5 days away. Michael Vasquez, thank you for joining us, says nice. Tyler says, can't believe Vince was going to bury Gunther when he was in charge. Oh, thank God for Triple H. Yeah, he just got in the right time. It's true. I think he was going to bury him after that segment he had with R-Truth the 4th of July in 2022. He would have buried him and sent him back to NXT. Which I can't believe that, because Gunther should be a guy that even Vince McMahon would know what to do. Cody should be Roman at WrestleMania and finish the story. Yes. Again, last year I can forgive. I will be pissed if he doesn't do it this year. Because I don't want to go another year again with doing the same exact thing. I want something different. Instead for Cody Rhodes and The Rock to happen at WrestleMania next year. Let's go to it, guys. And again, make sure you subscribe. Again, 1,987 is where we're at now. 13 away from 2,000. Let's get there by WrestleMania. And again, make sure to continue to give the WrestleMania 40 match card love. As again, we are at just about to reach 1,100 views on that match card. Let me check. As of now, we are 1,097 still. Please, keep giving that the love. Let's see if we can get that match card to 10,000. Again, as always, thank you all. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below about Raw. Also about the thing I mentioned about Mandy Rose earlier. Leave your thoughts again down in the comment section below. Be sure again, as always, to slap a like on the video. Subscribe for more content to come to my channel. And follow me on Twitter as well, at The Club with the Man 93. You may also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at The Club with the Man 1993. Also check out my latest Roller Coaster Tycoon Let's Play, Pacific Pyramids as well, which was a really nice part for sure. Again, hopefully tonight or tomorrow, I will get the last map of, the next map of Return to Danger done and upload floors 13 to 16. We will then have 2 maps left after that. And we'll be wrapping up that Let's Play here shortly as well. And just stay tuned, as always, for more content to come to the channel. And again, I do not get started with them still, but there will be new graphics coming very soon as well. So until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!